Hello.
Hello.
Hi, I'm Dr. Atta.
Yeah,
I'm very honored to have
yeah.
you here today.
I just got
So,
the message on LinkedIn, so I'm sorry for the.
thank you. This is from American University in Cairo, her colleague and a friend from the US as well. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So, Chadia, how do you say we start?
Yes,
Okay, awesome.
please.
Alrighty, so I will start with sharing my screen, and Chadia and I have prepared some interesting session for you. So welcome everyone to our online basics webinar for language instructors session, and welcome to whoever is joining us right now. We are so excited to have you, and we are really excited to show you what we have in store for you. For today, we are going to do a little introduction, and then we'll engage in a little activity in a poll. Then we're going to have some peer discussion and group reporting and some tips from Shadia. And then the majority of our session will be mostly dedicated for questions and answers. So I start by introducing myself. I'm Rima Al-Tawil. I am a doctoral student in distance education at Athabasca University, completing my fourth course right now. I have over 500 hours of online training and learning, and I'm very excited to be sharing a little bit of my knowledge in that area with you. My background includes many years of teaching English as a second language, and I was the principal of an Arabic school for 2 years. So language teaching is my forte, but later on I moved with my career to become a corporate trainer. This is what I do right now. Over to you, Shadia.
Thank you, Rima. So this is Chadia Mansour, and I'm originally from Tunisia. Right now I'm based in the Toronto area, Canada. I come from an applied linguistic background. I have also about 17 years of teaching languages, including ESL, ESP, EAP, EFL, and also Arabic as a foreign language. I've had more than 8 years of blended learning and online experience. And also I am a doctoral student at Athabasca University in online distributed learning. So same background with Rima right now. And I'm very happy to be here today. Go ahead.
Awesome.
So now
Alrighty. So how about we do some introductions and get to know our participants here, but in a little bit different way. So instead of asking you to talk in the same boring way that we talk, we will need you to go to a poll. Actually, I'm trying to see if I can share that with you in the chat box. So if you go to the chat box here and you click on this link, which is, I just shared it with you, paulev.com/RTAWIL224. So if you just go to that link
in the chat box
and start inputting your answers. I will share my screen again.
You can copy paste the link into your browser.
So let's start by answering the first question, which is, how are you feeling today? So click on the face that represents how you're feeling today, and we will be seeing your answers immediately. If you're in the poll, so how do you feel today? And then you're going to tell us why you feel that way. Were you able to go to the poll?
I have, and I've answered.
Okay, so
I'm not able to explain why. I clicked on my face, but it didn't give me the option to explain.
No, you're going to explain to us right now when we talk.
In the chat. Okay.
In the chat. No, not in the chat. We're going to discuss it right now. I'll show you your answers. Okay, so show responses. Here we go. So these are the responses. Who wants to tell us why they chose the yellow face? You will need to talk about it.
I can start.
Okay, Ada, go ahead.
Okay, great. I mean, it's a combination of being overwhelmed and at the same time uncertain about so many things. And it's just, you know, when you're moving to online teaching mode, you know, with all the requirements of learning new things at the same time, dealing with challenges that you're not really used to. And yeah, and the thing is, it's just, you're not really sure whether you're gonna keep doing what you're doing now for a week, to a month, the whole semester, or probably an academic year. So it's just uncertainty is the issue that I think we're juggling with at the same time.
Anybody else wants to add to this why you chose what you chose?
Okay.
Hi.
Yes.
Sure, I can go.
Oh.
This is
Okay, Matt.
Matt. Well, in my capacity, I'm working as a curriculum developer, and I do academic administration of a part-time courses at the University of Manitoba. So I'm really in a role where I'm supporting instructors in our rapid transition to online learning. Essentially was 3 days to get all of our 16 courses online, because I work in an intensive academic English program. So yeah, we've all had a rapid adjustment to the online delivery, crash courses in Zoom and our LMS system at the U of M. So really we're getting just lots of questions from our instructors, many of whom are not familiar with teaching online. So that's why I selected like the light green. Things are going reasonably well. There's a lot of uncertainty, as the previous speaker was mentioning. We've more or less been told that we will be teaching online at least until September. So that's guaranteed. So this is the new reality for the next number of months. So
That's right.
So we're cautiously optimistic. Things are going as good as we could hope. And so I'm just here to learn and discover some more approaches to supporting instructors.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Matt. Anybody else wants to add to this before we move to our next question?
Maybe just a quick one from an online educator, right? So some of you know me. I'm a doctor of distance education online learning, right? So I'm actually feeling really good. Lots of work, but it's all positive. We have been working hard in helping people move online, and advocating that everything online is not really the way to go. Looking into blended learning, because the moment, and that's where my worry is, that when online is not done well, it might hurt the stakeholders, right? So there is a bit of that caution and worry about what's going on, but at the same time, I finally got really busy in my world of online learning, and I'm not the only one that's isolated behind the computer 14 hours a day, right? But once again, yeah, the caution, guys, there's so much good stuff that can be done offline and then reported online, right? So, but you will talk about it, right? So thanks for this opportunity.
Awesome.
Right, we'll go to the next question.
Yeah,
Please.
but the good news, Chadia, is that I didn't see anybody choose the red face, which is awesome. All right, we need you right now to input the time. What time is it in your part of the world right now? Just type it. And you can see your answers coming. Oh my gosh.
And we got some 6 p.m.s as well.
Yeah, who's in the 6 p.m. zone here?
Hassan, for instance, Dr. Atta is in, what is it, 11:05, 6 hours also ahead of us right now.
So where are you? Which part of the world are you? Do you want to tell us?
Tell.
I know
Shall we go
Aga,
to the
myself, Shadia are in Toronto.
next question, please, Rima?
Okay. And this is the most exciting one here. We need you to type as many words as you can that describe what you like most about teaching. We tried to start doing this yesterday, Shadia and myself. Please complete. What is it that you like the most about teaching? Just type one word at a time, but type as many words as you can.
There we go.
And you can
Guiding.
type the same word several times. Like if you think it's because
It's more important. Make sure you type one word and then you click submit, not a list at the same time. Designing, curriculum, guiding, making a difference. Lives, fun, yay. Inspired, I love that.
I love the learning.
And seeing people now is getting huge. Okay, that's nice. There we go.
This is
Connections.
beautiful. I love the people. Yeah. Looking at this, what do you miss the most about teaching right now? If you are a teacher, if this is your expertise. So this is what we are going to discuss right now. Beautiful. Okay, are we happy with this Wordle that we're making right now? Because we will need to stop it, and I will, if you want, I can email it to you, because this will be our collective and collaborative thoughts together. That's beautiful. Okay, so let's move to our next thing. The next thing that we are going to do right now is a little discussion. I will stop sharing, and this is what we are going to do. I'm going to send you out to some breakout rooms in which you are going to answer few questions together. I will need to, I had the question here, but I will need to say it to you orally. Did I stop sharing, Shadia? I'm not sure if I did.
You did stop sharing,
Okay,
yes.
so I will put the question right here for you. And I will send you out to breakout rooms. So you'll find yourself with somebody in a room alone, but you are going to have a 4-minute discussion actually, because you are going to interview each other to get an answer around the following question. How comfortable do you feel about moving your courses online? And explain. And when I stop the individual meeting that you are having, or the individual interview that you are having with your interviewee, you are going to come back to our room and report back on what they felt is how they felt about moving their courses online. So if I put Matt, say for example, with Ada, Matt is going to interview Ada, and when we come together, Matt is going to tell us how comfortable Ada is, and Ada is going to tell us how comfortable Matt is. Are we ready for this? I'm going to send you to breakout rooms right now, and
enjoy.
Yeah, have fun. And I didn't prepare the rooms, so one second, please. I'm going to have my options. I'm going to give you exactly 5 minutes, and I don't see the option for 5. Breakout rooms close automatically after 5 minutes, and I can't do that. Move all participants in the breakout rooms.
Maybe 2 minutes, I think, to save a little bit of time and move forward. The reason we're doing this, if we are a little bit reflective at the moment while Rima is doing the breakout rooms, is to show you examples in practice, right? This is what you could be doing. So there we go. You gotta join, click on the join button, and then you'll be somewhere with somebody.
It's sending them out to the rooms. I don't think Bilal has joined a room.
Hello, this is Joe.
How many rooms do we have?
Hello, Joe. I'm not sure if this has gone
I think we
as
are all
I think we're all
in the same
On the same room. Oh,
Okay.
we didn't
I
break into.
think
I'm like,
we
what?
it's a real.
Session.
Are we trying again?
Yeah, I think Zoom has played the trick on me and didn't send you all to your breakout rooms.
I think we're in 2 breakout rooms right now, and that's fine. So the idea is to have to show you how you go into, you can have activities that you practice collaboration, or you practice group work and group activity with your own students. So not being face-to-face does not necessarily mean that you cannot do group work and you cannot have your students work together in pairs or in group, or whatever you have done in face-to-face. Basically, you can do a lot of it right here. We don't have the whole capacity of the Zoom today, but when you are the main host and you do all your settings prior to the session, then you'll be able to break out rooms really easily.
This didn't, yeah, this messed up a little bit just because we didn't have a list of the people so that we can assign them to the rooms immediately. And we didn't have, kept having few people coming in. The idea was that we need to interview ourselves and try to report, but since we couldn't do this in the way we planned for it to happen, so probably each one of us can talk a little bit about how comfortable we feel moving our courses online. So anybody wants to share?
Yes, I can.
Go ahead, Hind.
Hi, I'm Hind, Saudi Arabia, and it's very new to our students. At the beginning, I struggled a little, and I was learning with the students, but I'm getting the hang of it. I'm really enjoying it a lot, but there are always technical issues, and I think it gets disconnected, and I have to, issues like that. I think because everybody's online these days, there are a lot of technical issues. So the Zoom closes, and I have to restart. That's one of the problems. But in general, I think it saves a lot of time, and I'm really enjoying it a lot.
Well, that's great, and that's correct. Everybody's online, right? The whole world right now is online.
True.
So that causes a lot of traffic online, basically. Maybe we can hear from 1 or 2 and then move on. It's 11:18 right now to the next one. So, is there anybody else would like to share with us?
Yeah, I can, Chadia.
Please.
Well, for me, I mean, the good side about it, we had almost 10 days of training on campus, which was extremely helpful for us. And at the same time, I mean, I teach graduate students, so they're kind of familiar with these different tools. So from that side, it's okay. A couple of challenges we had. Number one, the bandwidth is an issue in Egypt, and it seems and Chadia, you correctly mentioned it's the whole world is online now. So it's just so one of the things that we're trying to do to not to stick to the synchronous option, and we try to use asynchronous teaching mode, which is kind of helpful in a way. The part actually that I try to find strategies, and hopefully that session would help us with this, is how to engage students. Because I mean, student engagement is an issue. Of course, even if you can have some tracking data and stuff like this, but at the end of the day, you need some strategies to make sure that they're really, that the students are fully engaged in the stuff that you're putting there online.
Yes, and we have a few tips in here for you. So that's why maybe we should move forward. And then we do have another time for questions and concerns and anything that's a special, your own immediate needs to address that. So yes, so to wrap up this, Rima, right? These are examples into practice. The poll is really cool to use. It's very engaging. You can use at the very beginning as a warm-up activity or ice breaking, right? Or even you can use in the middle of your session, you know, especially with K-12 students or even graduate students. Sometimes we get distracted, and with the polls, you keep your students engaged and you make sure everybody's following, right? If you don't answer, that means you're browsing somewhere else or doing something else, right? So it's engagement. It's being a little bit of how are you listening to me? Are you there or not, right? The breakout rooms for activities as well. And the questions, there's, you know, sense of humor, there's a casualty, there's socializing a little bit. So you want to have that connection and that human part with your students. So be yourself, right?
And I would add to this. Thank you very much. These are very, very good points and very important to remember, Chadia. But I would just add to this is that just be a human. Like, we're using technology, and technology always fails us. And like right now, for example, and if it happens, that's fine. You know, like, how many times do we walk in the classroom and we trip, for example? And if it happens, it's fine. Like, we're with humans. We are humans. Make it all humanize the whole thing and say, oh yeah, okay, like Zoom closed and let's all jump and again, or I'll call you back to tell you what we're going to do next, and just like
relax,
be yourself and relax and don't get stressed out over it. These things happen. I know Dr. Aga and ourselves have been involved in online learning for so many years, and I can't recall a time when I went into a class online where technology did not fail us. Like, it always does. Get used to it and live with it and have fun with it, you know?
Yep. All right. So I think it's time for me to share my screen here.
Yes, go ahead.
And the great
forward. I mute myself.
Can you see my screen? Yeah, I'm gonna move all your heads.
Yes, Chadia, it's
all your heads.
Working.
I'm moving all your heads. All right, so it's time for some tips for online teaching here that I hope that you'll find valuable. So the first thing that we recommend is to be reachable and approachable, and that is what we just were touching on. Be human, right? Don't be the ghost behind the computer. It's you, it's with your students, it's yourself, it's them. Use voice because audio messages are very powerful to connect with students. It's what we call the high touch versus the high tech. So you're going to select from the technology, the touch, what we call the high touch, meaning the technology that connects you and that has the social part and the human part with your students. Let your students hear you, let your students see you as well if possible. The second tip is to establish a social presence. So as you can see, because we are behind computers, this is very important. And for example, you can use digital storytelling. It's a great way for language learners and for you to establish your presence and get students to keep to know each other at the beginning of each course. Who knows if they're going to be continue doing this or not? Or in our situation, you can keep the connections that you already have and established with you and your and the students with their classmates that already started in face-to-face. The third tip is to use technology intentionally. So all the little things that are may seem very simple here that we used earlier with the polls or the breakout rooms or the questions or the conversations or calling others to step in, those are all intentional, right? For you to what matters is not really the technology, but what matters is what you're doing, your touches. The technology does not necessarily need to be sophisticated. You can simply use your phone if you don't even have access, to in so many contexts, they don't really have access to sophisticated technology. So whether phone or email or WhatsApp or Skype or Google Doc or Padlet or Microsoft Teams, so many, of course, there are in there, but most importantly, let your learning objectives and your learning outcomes guide you and drive you, not the technology. This is extremely important. External resources. Some of you mentioned what are we going to do? I mean, how are we going to guide students? What are we going to do with the curriculum, especially now with the COVID-19, with this radical and forceful way of, being online for many of you. Try to find easy ways, right? Use external resources to supplement your courses other than what you have with you right now, with your own textbook, or you're trying to come up with stuff, or already content they have in LMS. Search for articles, ads, brochures, YouTube videos, games. Basically diversify your material, but make sure that your work is gotten easier, not a burden on you. All these external resources will save you time and also will enhance your teaching and the learning of the students. Open educational resources are everywhere right now, and there are great resources on the web that are ready for you, that you don't even have to waste time, trying to design or write your own curriculum. So just select what fits your learning outcomes instead of designing your own. And again, it saves a lot of time, but be vigilant about copyrighted material, right? That's a tricky part. That's something that we need to think about, but OERs are open. A lot of ESL websites also are open. You can share and use them on your online courses. Be explicit. This is particularly important in an online environment because your expectations are extremely important, because you need to know the students are behind the screens. They're not with you. It's important also on face-to-face, right? But they kind of get lost, and you need to set up a system for you to remind them, to tell them what your expectations about deadlines, about group work, assessment. Use rubrics to assignments as you do in your face-to-face classrooms. Use it and online as well. They help clarify what is needed, and they set a transparent grading system, right? Establish netiquette. Netiquette is the etiquette of online, right? Of the internet. Right now, it depends what you're trying, your own culture, your own context, what is fine to do, what is not acceptable, all of those things, what you have set as rules for your own classrooms, but mainly being respectful, inclusive, social, yet maintain formality, especially with the language use. Some students, you don't want your students to be cursing online, thinking, oh, here we're talking and we're joking. Yes, but there's limits in there. And basically set up some rules, but this has to be from the very, very beginning of the classroom, on your online teaching. What else? Fun and playful and creative. This is where the engagement part is very important. you need to be creative in the way when you design your course and you have already set up your learning outcomes, do you tie them up, you know, backwards into your assessment? What are you trying to assess your students on? What are you trying to teach your students? What are they, what's the main thing that they are going to get out of that particular lesson or course, right? And then you have the application part for them to be doing things. And that's where you use your content and you design the content of where they're going to be doing. Assign something that is different to engage them, right? Okay, this is generic, I know, but energize them, have them express themselves creatively. How is that? Have them create things. For example, you tell me, right? Yes. In language learning, use virtual tours, or in not only language learning, even other, you know, fields, but especially in language learning for the four skills that we target mostly. Virtual tours to visit real places, but online, right? They are great for task-based learning and project-based learning approaches. I'm saying task-based learning here and project-based learning because they are engaging. They do require active learning. They do require things to be done from the students. And as I told you, have them create things. These are the approaches that you want to base your curriculum design around. So for example, you can visit the esllibrary.com and you can find more than 25 virtual tours, from museums to senior houses to shopping to anything that you can, you know, so many things related to real worlds are in there. You can have them create wikis, right? Or you can have them create websites, or use audio, video, or WebQuest, right? For high thinking level to support them through solving or knowledge building activities. Quizlet also is very useful for vocabulary. It's got millions of study sets in there, ready for you. Again, think about saving your time. Don't get stuck into trying to create something new, especially right now as you're trying to move forward with the semester and finish up what you have. What else? There are so many other things supported by audio. Quizlet is supported by audio, video, and pictures, and really easy to make yours if you choose to do that. But I always, you know, go for search well, and you'll find things, basically. Play around with the skills that you're targeting. Again, we're back to the design. In online learning and teaching, that your teaching actually is before starting the whole course, is the design stage that sets the parameters and sets for your own teaching. You design your content, you design your learning objectives and outcomes, and you design your assessment. You go back, you find your content, and then into chunks and into learning objects, and then you have the students apply them, right? All have in mind the learning outcomes and the assessment tying up together. So you need to play around the skills here and how they could be achieved. Flip things around. Students can report on the field trip, for example, right? You gave them a virtual tour. They went on a field trip. Can somebody's mute your microphone? This is part of the netiquette, for instance. Yeah, so the students went on a field trip. Yeah, they can report. Okay, so they were engaged. They did the tasks over there. They already have done their part, but they still have things to do to report and work on the different skills, right? They can report on the experience, or the tasks that you assign them in a video, right? So you turned in the field trip into a video. The video could do a lot of media skills. It could do a lot of speaking skills. The video could have writing skills in there as well, if they want to still write the script, right? But enhance it with pictures and audio video using their phones, even if they don't have any other sophisticated tools. Again, no need for high tech. So use what you have. Turn a reading task into story-like format. So from reading, then they read and then they tell a story, right? Or a discussion for speaking instead. Or instead of assigning a text to read, they could watch a YouTube video that you provide for the listening skill, right? So be creative and try to find those ways of outside of the norm, outside of the read, listen, or speak, using very simple technology. So log in regularly. So back to you here as a teacher. What you need to be doing is, online in particular, is to be available, right? But some people think working at home or teaching online, that means available, it's 24/7. That is not true. You don't have to be 24/7, but you don't have to be on the weekends, but set 5 days a week, for instance, to connect at specific times to connect, distribute your time of login. Don't jump into to reply to every email because you get overwhelmed, right? But say, I don't know, at 10 o'clock in the morning on Monday, I'm gonna check emails and do XYZ. On Tuesday, I'll have office hours, right? On Wednesday, everybody knows that I'm gonna be there, reachable. So distribute your time of login and set synchronous time for your students for questions or other concerns. Provide personal feedback. Personal feedback here meaning specific individual feedback. Again, high touch here, not high tech, because high touch has a tremendous effect on students. So try audio video feedback. So you have a writing, you have they're working on a task, and then the final product is a writing, right? And you have your assessment piece is whatever it is. But it's like, let's talk about writing because it has more of a feedback than anything else in the language, you know, skill in particular, and is challenging for many teachers. Dr. Atta is the assessment specialist here, so, but yeah. So yeah, why audio feedback? Audio video feedback, because first of all, it saves you time, right? Imagine how many words you can say in 1 minute versus what are you gonna say? How are you gonna elaborate and give examples and specifically, you know, talk about needs and things for that particular specific individual student, right? And also it's very useful for students because they can work on your feedback asynchronously to allow them to stop, to revisit, right? To basically access it whenever they have them at their own pace, and pause it and follow and make the changes. And routine in your design of the course is very important. Why? Because it allows students to anticipate the course content and activities, or your communication when you do your announcement. Try to have it on a regular day, like every Sunday night or a Monday morning or whatever. But the students know this week we did XYZ. The professor announcement is during this day. This activity is another day. The other one, the game, Wednesday is a game day, whatever. But anticipate. They could anticipate what you're doing, and that way they feel it reduces anxiety, right? Because in a virtual environment, they could be lost if things keep changing. I earlier mentioned diversity into your content, yes, and the tools that you use, but try not to overwhelm them, because consistency helps them keep focused and keeps you organized as well. Now back to the humanizing part. You are online, but you're still a human being. Always remember that. So here are some tips for for you again in the first week. If you're starting a new course, instead of sending a regular email or put in your LMS, right? something about yourself to introduce yourself. Use videos. Use that human touch part. It reduces anxiety. In our situation, you already know the students, right? Because they're there. But it's always good to see you, and it's always good to feel that social presence of the teacher. Now I'm talking as a student myself, Dr. Lala Palalas. That's for you, right? You could use across the course some of the things that you need to remember, or some of the tips that I really, found useful and I did in my classrooms. I'm not following up, Rima, with the chat. I don't know if you're looking. So that's another thing, right? There are so many things going on in virtual room. So
Yes,
keeping up
yes,
with the
yeah.
chat and
I'm sorry
doing
to
at the same
interrupt,
time.
but there were so many good resources that are being shared and in the chat box, Matt.
That's great.
And I was wondering if we can give us some time to share those resources once
Sure, I'm almost done.
yeah.
Yes, yes. So yes, there is what is called student info form, right? You most probably do that in your face-to-face classroom, but you can still do that, right, online. Um, for instance, you can ask them in one sentence how you are feeling about this class so far, right? You could use a forum, and on your LMS where everyone shares, or you can use Padlet. It has those. I like it because it has like a sticky notes. It feels like somebody's written sticky notes, and everybody can if you allow them to write on their own. The other ones, or just everybody sees what the other one is writing. So this, why we're doing this? Because this practice fosters, first of all, it fosters your students' reflective skills in terms of what you're doing in the classroom, and also it'll get you to learn about your students because you're not really there, right? But you need to keep up with what's going on with the students. So you will be able to help those who express something going on in their lives that can disrupt their learning, because learn at home. If you go to the classroom, then you're in that classroom. Nothing is going to interrupt you. But I'm sure many of you right now, if when you started teaching at home, working at home, right? It's very different. You have so many other variables and so many other, stuff that interferes with your teaching, and it's the same thing. It interferes with their learning and with their time, and here comes self-regulation for both, for the teachers to set up their own timing and their own mood of this is my office or place, and this is my time. I'm going to connect and disconnect, and this, and the same thing for students. But things happen, so be a human, be empathetic, right? Have your students tell stories again. In an online environment is extremely important, right? They can use YouTube for that. They can use Adobe Spark or VoiceThread or Flipgrid. These are all great for speaking skills and fostering connections. So overall, be present, be empathetic, and be aware uh, as an instructor. So now we'd like to hear from you of any specific needs that we could help you with. We still have 45, 15, 18 minutes, and that's
And even
great.
more if we need to. Thank you so much, Shadia. That
Right?
was so helpful. I just want to, because I was following on our chat and I saw a lot of important and very helpful things pop up. Uh, Matt, you shared a couple of resources like Flipgrid, Common Lit, and some others. Is there anything specific that you think we could learn from, and you can share your expertise uh, using them? Some of these are a little bit new to me too, so go ahead if you want to explain a little bit. You're muted.
Okay, sorry. Flipgrid is a tool I've used recently, and I know a number of our instructors in our program have used it with great effect. So it's a free video-based interface that allows you to send like a specific prompt via email or text. Students download the app on their iPhone, or I think it's also available on Android. It essentially allows students to follow the prompt. They can do unlimited sort of videos of, say, a speaking prompt,
Right.
maybe, and they can, once they're happy with their performance, they can share it to just the instructor. They can share it to the whole class. You can also enable features that allow other people to respond to that video, either by like just texting, or that you can do subsequent video responses. There's quite a lot of flexibility, and it's free and it works really well. So you could do pronunciation activities, you know, say you're working on intonation on something. Maybe you're doing persuasive speaking. You could have students practice a set script, and then they upload their recording, and you could provide, as the instructor, that high touch video or audio response to what they provided you. So I know for speaking classes, our instructors have been quite impressed with its capabilities. In terms of the commonlit.org, this is a massive American-based online repository of readings. All the readings are graded according to proficiency levels, and each reading comes with a whole set of support activities, including discussion questions and materials. There's thousands of articles there, and they're very high quality and lots of high interest materials. So if you're looking to supplement you know, a textbook or whatever, looking just for high interest, interesting readings, or even promoting students' own independent reading, that could be a good place to send your students.
Thank you so much, Matt. I'm sorry, Chadia. Just for Joanne's question, after you say what you wanted to say, Chadia, I would like to hear what Joanne went with her question about the introverted, but I just noticed it. Go ahead, Chadia. I'm sorry.
Oh, and I just wanted to add also the MM Reader or the ReadWorks. They're all digital text, right? And students can choose their own text, or based on their interest and level. There are also quizzes with instant feedback, and there are tracking options and so many good things for extensive reading as well. So ReadWorks or
ReadWorks.
Or M Reader. Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, Joanne, could you please tell us more about your question about the introvert students? I just want to make sure we understand it.
Oh, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, Joanne, we can hear you.
Okay. Yes, I'm fairly new to this. I teach ESP. My students are not usually young people. They're usually in their 30s, 40s, 50s, not as comfortable with technology, about like myself. And some of them don't have mobile plans. They can't afford mobile plans. They're refugees, so that's another issue. But also some of them don't feel comfortable filming themselves. They're not the selfie population. So I'm wondering if that might be an issue. We will be going online only for the summer and have not done it yet.
That's a very good. That's a very good point, Joanne. Thank you very much for bringing it up. And I'm just wondering if how you manage those students on location, like in a class, when they are introverts, are they comfortable trying to read or trying to speak in class? I'm saying this because I myself have taught ESP for refugee, and coming from where I come from, I really helped a lot of refugees settle in Canada, and I know exactly that this might be a problem. But I'm just wondering if they can come together in the location. Probably they might be feeling coming together in a synchronous session just like this one, and forget that they have the technology in front of them and try it out together the same way they try it out in a classroom if they're not comfortable being filmed. It's just a thought that I wanted to put out there, but you know your students more than we do, and of course you are going to find ways to adapt. Chadia, did you want to add to this?
Yes, I was just gonna say that again, it's just try to use whatever is accessible for you or fits your own context. So if videos, and Hind also mentioned that in her context, female students in particular are not comfortable being on video, and I know that as a fact because I was in that context as well. But how about audio instead of video, right? Um, that's a possibility. Audio, a simple thing on the phones, and I use that with my students in blended learning, right? And I talked about audio feedback, for instance, or activities. Audio recorder, just a recorder, send it, right? Use what you have. These have so many things that we don't use actually. I don't know why we pay a lot of money and then we end up not using them, right? But there are so many things in there. So resort to audio, resort to asynchronous activities as well. So I'm gonna share my screen again. Some of you talked about here Padlet. I love Padlet. I've used Padlet for more than 8 years, right? In face-to-face and in online. These are all the stuff that I, you know, did with my students. This is one of my students, for instance. We talked about be creative, have them make something, right? Create something. This is, for instance, a brochure, right? You give them this is a sample to follow if they're very low students, or you have them if they're intermediate advanced, you have them be creative their own way. These are very low students, you know. So we provided them with this, and they work collaboratively here. They can add. You simply click, and this is for free as well. You click on it, you add a title, right? You write something. I use also in even with advanced writing, you know, where shared collaborative writing activities are done with the students. They can add links, as you can see here. They can upload their, you know, file. They can add audio. They can browse images or the web videos, all etc. So this is very, very extremely collaborative in terms of working on writing or on projects, and use different also tools in there without even any video or student privacy or, you know, cultural constraints, right? This is the one that I was telling you about, the ESL library, and the different field trips in here. A lot of them ideas, you know, visit, go to a zoo, invite, check out public art, visit, so many of them. So it's really cool. Learn English, right? The British Council, you have here a lot of ready stuff for you. Don't waste your time creating and being overwhelmed with keeping up all these stages, you know, new things and assessment. There are tests, there are projects, there are lessons in there. Learn IT to teach as well. You know, this is great. You can see a lot of ready things and a lot of ideas and tips and for different levels as well, and lesson plans. Canvas, this one, for instance, the elements of quality matters. This is very important because it will give you tips in terms of the actual curriculum design. Remember, I told you your teaching is more starts before the actual class. It's you're designing your learning outcomes, is putting together your content and aligning it with your assessment with a little bit of technology. So don't focus on the technology, focus on the design. Quality matters. This is the design for online, right? This is very, very important, and this is a self-paced course that you can take for you to learn more about online course design, and the quality matters for quality learning and teaching. Breaking news also, look, there's 2,873 English new lessons in 7 levels, right? Bready stuff, make it easy on yourself. There are tests and so many things in there. Web Quest, right? More creative way. Here you can create, you can share, you can use useful resources, you can find other things, you can research. So this is for advanced level. And Quizlet, of course, as I mentioned earlier. And I would like just to say that one last thing for me about the assessment part. There are a lot of quizzes, right? Even in LMS, there are simple ways to come up with quizzes, but go low in terms of grade for those type of quizzes, right? Focus on engaging, meaning formative assessment, and focus on projects, the task-based approach, the problem-based learning approach, right? Design your course around those two main frameworks for language learning, and then you will be forced to create your course in a way that your students are doing things, not you doing things. You do teach before, when you create the design of the course and put everything ready for them. You are facilitating, of course, whether in synchronously or asynchronously, but they are doing most of the learning during the semester. And remember, right now you can start by weekly plans, right, for your content design, and then move on to another week. In the future, if you're going to start from the beginning, it's more recommended of designing the whole course together and being allowed all the 4 parts together. But right now, do a weekly thing, because in face-to-face we do more lesson plannings, right, for a day by day. But that doesn't really work online, because everything has to be all connected together and feed into the assessment and the active learning all together. So that's it.
Looking at our time, Chadia, I can see that we are almost reaching the end of our session, and
We still have 3 more minutes.
Yeah, I'm very eager to hear from the people
Yes.
who have joined us, but I don't know if they found any takeaway in this session. I'd like to hear from Susan, Bilal, Hassan.
Any more questions? Any more
Or
concern?
any takeaways?
Yes, Chadia, please. Can you hear me?
Yes, Hassan,
yes.
Go ahead. Yes, please.
Yes, thank you for this wonderful session. But I have 2 questions here. Chadia, have been talking about the free websites and the freemium products. My question is how to choose the right tools. We have plenty of them, but how to choose the right one? That's question number 1. Question number 2, you talked about assessment, and this is the most important point, I think. My question is how to evaluate students' learning skills. I mean, for example, you talked about creativity, critical thinking, and collaboration and communication. How to test and evaluate these skills? Thank you very much.
So your first question, Dr. Aga, do you want to say something?
No.
No? Right. Okay.
For the right tools, the
right. Go ahead, Rima.
I'll take that away. The right tool is the tool that you are comfortable with, your students have access to, and it doesn't complicate the learning. Remember, there's a goal in here, and that is for the students to learn and not just to get lost in the technology that's out there. Just pick one that you're comfortable with, your students have access to, and it facilitates the learning. It's just a channel. If the channel is the phone, call them. If the channel is the computer, use it. If the channel is just put something in the mail and send it by snail mail, use it. It's a channel. It's a communication channel. It's not a goal all and by itself. I'm totally in love with everything that Chadia showed us, but all these are options, and you pick the one that you are comfortable using, even if what you're comfortable using is just the email, is just a channel. Remember only one thing, and Chadia said it, but I just want to stress out on this one, which is our role as educators shifts when we are online. We are no longer that stage on the stage. We don't go stand in front of the class and lecture. Our goal is to become facilitators of learning. We show them what they need to do. We are their cheerleaders when they do it, and we encourage them to connect together and do it together. We provide the guidance, we provide the resources, and we provide the encouragement and the motivation. Our role is not, and this is what Chadia was trying to tell us by showing us all those resources, our role is not to go and explain everything. Our role is to show them and guide them where these can be found. And yes, Aga, go ahead.
Dr. Aga, yes, please.
I did not want to interrupt. I was just...
No, that's all right.
Love everything you were saying. Just one thing that I'd like to add here from what we've been observing, and it is a rule of online learning design, is we have to be, as much as we can, aware of what's available to all the stakeholders, to our learners, right? So I've been consulting in circumstances where people, even here in Canada, students do not have currently access to computers. So you might be in a situation like that. They used to use computers in libraries. Right now, all the libraries are closed. What I'm seeing across the various educational contexts, is that most people would have mobile phones. So check with your learners if that's an opportunity. If you know your learners well, and you know they all have access to cross-platform tools, you're good, right? You can use any of what we just said right now. But if there is any chance that you're teaching in regions where people do not have that access to all various types of devices, your best bet is to rely on phones. And considering that data plans might be limited for some people, again, across most countries nowadays, data providers are offering a lot for free, but that might be something that your students are not used to. Very important to somehow have that conversation, and once you've selected something that you think works for your particular target group, what you want to do is you do want to check with them. Don't give people too many options. Do your homework. That's what it is. You do give options, but not too many. But when you are saying to your learners, this is what I'd like you to use, you have to ask, how comfortable are you with using this? Do you have access to it? So, for example, you're not going to ask them to use Skype for Business. I apologize to Skype right now, because that's actually their problem, because it's so heavy. It has such high levels of requirements for online, usage, that it's a no. It's just a no. I wouldn't look at it, right? Zoom, we are in Zoom right now. Zoom is doing well today. They'll continue delivering, doing a good job. They're not paying me for this message, but they've proven that, that they're really good. But if we continue sharing pictures and videos of every single lunch we have and breakfast we have and every single activity we do all over the world, we all might hit a wall. So consider that. And I love what Chadia and Rima said in terms of using channels that we are all very familiar with. There is nothing wrong with email in some circumstances, right? That needs assessment, quick needs assessment, checking who they are and if they're comfortable with that. So just a couple of 2-3 cents for me.
Thank you very much, Dr. Aga. Hassan, you have your hand up.
No.
Do you want to say no? Okay. So your second question, I think Dr. Aga answered part of that, and I talked about assessment, right? And you said how are you going to assess them? I was telling you through formative assessment mainly, and through projects, all the projects that they're doing, right? The virtual trips or infographics or web quests or the wikis that they're creating, or the audio video they're creating, or the website they're creating and writing in there. So those are the venues for you for assessment, to play, you know, whether to assess their writing or to assess their speaking on the video or the audio they're creating, or they assess their listening on the YouTube video that you gave them to watch. You know, I'm just giving you very simple examples here. You don't have to go very fancy, right? So that's why we were saying, think about your assessment hand in hand with your learning outcomes, right? Then do your content, right? And select it. That's how you assess, right? And it's not, right? Are you talking about the grades, Hassan? That's your concern?
Yes. No, I'm not talking about the learning outcomes mainly. I'm talking about abstract skills like critical thinking, creativity, and collaboration and communication. This is what I'm concerned. I want to know if there is a model or framework, ready framework to assess these learning skills.
Dr. Atta, are you there? If I'm not calling him, he's the assessment guru and the language skill. I'm sure you know most of his publications, and they have a great conference in Tunisia. I don't know if they're still going on or not.
Well, unfortunately, we postponed it until next year, but I hope you can make it. It's Language Testing Research Symposium, and it will be in Hammamet in Tunisia, June 2021.
Yes. Okay. Can you say something here, please?
What was the question? I'm sorry.
About critical. How do you assess critical thinking and
creativity, collaboration, communication?
Okay. Right. I really like what Chadia mentioned earlier about all the time we need to go back to our learning outcomes, and whatever activities we're working on, whether we talk about teaching activities, should go back to learning outcomes. And one of the things that especially for critical thinking is just to get them to reflect. I mean, one of like, for example, let's take interactive reading as an activity and how students reflect on readings. I use, for example, hypothesis, and I'm not sure if some of you are using this tool. It's really great, and they go back and reflect, and the thing about this, they have, and that asks them to, like, I would use Google Forms, write something. This is where you can actually focus on skills. It's not one time thing. That is this is where actually you can work on thinking with whether like in critical reading or whatever other skills of interest in that context. I think Kamal has a
Sorry, we missed the
last part. You were breaking out.
Yeah, because it was breaking out. The last
For
example.
my point of, I would like first to thank you for this insightful meeting. It's been a long time, Chadia. Good to see you.
I know, Kamal from Morocco.
Yeah, I'm live from Casablanca now. Thank you very much for this rich session. I've been in the business of LMS for 5 years. We're working with the platform with Pearson. What I'm doing right now is I do leadership training and ESP training. And I want to just make a comment very quick that once we're online, we are very focused on having people focused on the why, the reason why they are there. They are here with us. So give them a reason to give them the hook to stay focused, to better understand why they are here. All the time remind them what is the reason why we use this. Use why a lot in your session. In different forms, of course, you can paraphrase it. And the second part of your training online probably could be on how to give them some structures. Just, yeah, just the how they can learn, they can learn the how and the why within the online session. And the consolidation part, the homework, whatever you want to drill in the learners is to be taken away home, because that's won't consume a lot from your time. And that's the what. Why that's the what they're gonna learn from the session. Some of my colleagues I've been training, I've been working with, they always start with the what. They say, wait, today we are going to do this and that. With adults, I think is different. Prepare them for the reason why they are here. They are paying you, or they are paying their times, and they must have an idea about the end result prior to the so orient them towards the objective. So thank you very much. I won't take much of your time. I know your time is tight. Probably next time we can work on this. Thank you very much for your time, guys.
Thank you very much, everybody. And Hassan, we can chat more if you want separately about assessment and the particular concerns that you have. But again, the rubrics, all this, when you're designing, go back to your rubrics, your learning outcomes, your content, and the rubrics that you create, and the activities that you're doing. Yeah, and you target a few things from there to assess, but we can talk more about it. Yeah, I think it's we are at 12 past 10. I would love to stay more, but I know that Dr. Aga and Dr. Hind and many of you maybe have other things to do. We have more series, not for language educators, but I think there's one more, Dr. Aga, coming up with the International Association for Blended Learning. If you go to the Facebook page, then you'll find updates about other free webinars for you. Thank you, Rima, for the great activities and for the collaboration on this. Dr. Aga for the opportunity, everybody who was here, and you can always reach to us and with questions. I personally would be happy to connect and talk or email back and share. Thank you.
Before we leave, yes, yeah, I was going to say, Dr. Aga, do you want to make the announcement? I read something in the chat box.
Oh, it was a question to you. I'm cornering you. Try to say no to what I just said.
Is it possible to have a separate session
within 2 weeks? So, okay, first to answer your question, Chadia, yes, we have many more sessions, not all of them advertised yet, but we will continue having these very same sessions, but 3 hours later, because that was what we've been asked to do. There were people from different parts of the world that didn't like the timing. So we will continue offering them at 3 hours later that we started today. We will have 2 sessions next week. And then I'm inviting you right now to create a session for language educators that would focus on assessment.
Okay.
And you can say no, remember? We will.
Well,
is the session being recorded?
Right, it is recorded.
We'll need to cut it. We need to cut it.
Well, we'll have to we'll have to hijack Dr. Atta for us to collaborate on that, maybe, and guide us through things.
And I will be happy to help too. So this is an invitation on a more, serious note. This is an invitation. You don't have to answer right now. I have a feeling I know the answer. So we will be updating everybody through our Facebook and through IABL.org, International Association for Blended Learning. I thank you all very much for coming here, and our moderators today for this wonderful work that they put into it and how they shared all that information with us here today. Thank you so very much.
Sure, Joan. Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
LinkedIn.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So we're going to stop the recording, Rima?
Yeah, good idea. Less editing if we